excited because today I'm going to be building a keyboard, and this keyboard is one that I think is going to not only look amazing but sound very unique in that I think it's going to be very quiet, very quiet. Of course, we shall see. Time shall tell. You can skip ahead if you want to the sound test. There will be chapter markers in the play bar there, but as of right now, I don't know how it's going to sound, but I think it's going to sound pretty special. I do know how it's going to look though, and it's going to look amazing. We are using this GMK67 keyboard, a 65% board from ZUOYA. This is the first that I've used any of their products, but it looks pretty nice, and it is fully featured. Even better, it's very, very reasonably priced. You can find this thing on Banggood.com on sale for $60 US with some frequency at the time of recording. That's what it costs, and it's got all the bells and whistles, including full RGB, hot swap sockets, Bluetooth, and 2.4 gigahertz wireless, in addition to USB-C wired. It's got a knob that you can turn. It's got dampening foam. It's even got a gasket mount for $60. Holy cow, you guys. So we're gonna open that up and take a look, of course. For switch duty today, I'm trying out some new switches, also provided by Banggood.com. These are the Gamakay Griffin switches. Now these are advertised on Banggood as linear switches, but I did pop one out and test it earlier, and lo and behold, it's actually a light tactile switch. They are factory lubricated and very, very smooth. They have a very quiet bottom out, and they're pretty inexpensive. This pack of 35 is on sale for $14 right now, I think. Regularly maybe 16 or 17, but again, like fairly inexpensive, especially for good quality factory lube switches. Haven't typed on them yet, but just playing with the one that I took out, it felt really smooth. And yeah, they've got that nice light tactile bump, which can be a lot of fun to type on. Then, to cap things off, we have this fairly innocuous looking box of keycaps here, but what we have inside, friends, is the Underworld set, PBT die sub set, once again from Banggood.com. And I'll give you a little preview here, but they look amazing. Oops. So they are kind of a Day of the Dead themed set. You can see we've got all kinds of multicolored legends, and this kind of spooky looking enter, and there's some other sort of Day of the Dead like or themed, like Sugar Skull type aesthetics on some of the novelty caps underneath, which we will look at when we get to the keycap portion of this build. We'll put those aside for now though, but I think they're going to look stellar on this board. The ZUOYA board is available in both black and white. We, I believe, have the black version here. I wanted it to match the keycaps, of course. Then we do have one other little thing here. We've got some dampening pads here. These are to go under the switches. They are adhesive, and they help dampen the keystrokes and provide a softer bottom out. You'll you'll see when we get to it, but they are available in a few different types of foam. We have an EVA foam one here, and we have, I believe, an IXPE foam here. Different foams, different densities, different feels and sounds. I think it's also available in pour-on foam. This is, a pretty small thing, obviously not critical for a mechanical keyboard build, but if we're going for a stealth board, something really quiet, we might want these. Now, I did see that this keyboard actually has, this kit, I should say, the ZUOYA kit, actually comes with a lot of foam dampening. It's got like quite a few layers and is gasket mounted. So these might be overkill. They might not be necessary, but we will test them out. And we will do a test with a switch dampened with one of these and without. And we'll see if it makes a noticeable difference to the sound or feel. So these are really inexpensive. They're like $5 for a set, I think, on Banggood. So definitely a nice little addition if you're looking to dampen your keyboard a bit. So without further ado, let's dive into unboxing this ZUOYA board. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, so this is the US layout, RGB with the black case. It's a very simple box. There's really not much to see here. Just gives us the layout on the back here. By the way, I don't know if I made this clear, but this video is sponsored by Banggood, banggood.com. So big thanks to them for sending over these goodies for us to play with and listen to today. You can find all those links down below at the top of the video description for all of the products I'm using here today. And if you purchase through those links, you will be supporting me and this channel. So thank you so very much if you do. So there it is. 65% layout. We get dedicated arrow keys, some nav cluster here, and a rotary encoder. Not too much else to say, except we've got various wired modes, or wireless modes, and a Windows mode, Mac mode switch here. So let's get to it. I'm really keen on this, you guys. I don't know if you can tell, I'm very excited. It's been a while since I've done a build here on the channel. They're always some of my favorite videos. Okay, so what does our 60 USD get us? Well, there's clearly a keyboard here. A keyboard kit. This kit, of course, comes without switches or keycaps, but it does come with stabilizers. Let's pull that out for the moment. Set it aside. What other goodies? We get a user guide. In English and Chinese, gives us our RGB backlight configuration stuff, our wireless configuration stuff, and that's pretty much it. I believe this keyboard does have a software driver that you can download to configure it. I will try that on my own time, and hopefully it's alright. It's always a bit of a crapshoot with these budget boards out of China, but usually the software is at least functional. So the bar is pretty low. We shall see. Alright. And the usual extra goodies. Let's just get this out of the way. As you can see, the keyboard itself is protected by some cardboard on either side, sort of buffering offering. It says GMK67 on the bottom. And the entire package is recyclable, which I'm actually really pleased to see. Good job, ZUOYA. Easy to recycle. So, the pack-ins include a keycap puller and switch puller combo, which is of the good variety, I'm happy to say. The wire type and standard little grabby keycap puller, or switch puller, pardon me. Nothing super deluxe, but totally functional. Glad they include that. And what is actually a pretty darn nice looking USB cable. Check it out. It is fabric sleeved with this braided fabric. We've got a little hook and loop fastener. It is USB-A on one end, USB-C on the other. It looks to be decently long, probably 3 feet, maybe 3.5. Not bad for a $60 kit. Speaking of $60 kit, let's see what that gets us. Okay. I always love this plastic. I like it because it makes nice crinkle sounds. Okay, so here is the ZUOYA GMK67. Now, I will say when I pulled it out, it did not feel especially weighty. It's pretty light as these things go, especially considering there's a battery in here. I believe a 3000 milliamp hour battery. But it feels solid despite being relatively light. Like it doesn't feel hollow. And that's probably because there's a lot of dampening foam in here. So let's just do the quick tour. This is the black variant. There is also a white one. The case is just simple plastic, but it feels relatively sturdy. Oh, one little pop there. That's about it. And it's just a matte black texture here. A matte black texture. We have rounded edges, smoothed, so no sharp edges here. But from the front, extremely minimalistic, which means it'll go well with a lot of builds. There's really not much going on here. It's a blank canvas. We have a rotary encoder. This will allow you to presumably adjust your volume. It's possible that the software will allow it to be bound to other functions, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a fixed function. But it's a nice visual flair there, and actually sounds and feels pretty darn good. Nice thok to that press. Not textured at all, just matte, but it looks really sharp actually. And it's metal. The knob is metal, and it feels pretty sturdy too. It's not loose or rattly or anything. The plate for its part, the positioning plate, appears to be polycarbonate, I think. Like a kind of a frosted polycarbonate. Again, I think that's going to result in a very soft, dampened sound signature. I mean, you can just hear from me tapping on it. Listen. It's very dampened. The stabilizers are evidently factory lubed. You can see that they have clear housings, white stems, and are the standard plate mount cherry style. Easy enough to pop off if you want to modify them, which I think I will, although we will do the build initially just with the stock stabs. I'd like to hear them, if they in fact are lubed, and how they perform stock. And then I might take some time to modify them on my own time, maybe wholly mod them, or something along those lines, we'll see. But I want to hear how they sound stock. And then we have our hot swap sockets, which you can hopefully see. They take 3-pin or 5-pin switches, so any Cherry MX compatible switch should work in here. And as you can maybe see, they are padded underneath. Listen. So this board comes with pre-installed switch pads, or rather probably a whole plate or PCB cover that adheres on top of the PCB and gives us this extremely soft sounding bottom out, which is why I was thinking that we might not actually want to use or need to use these guys right here. If I don't use them in this build, I'll use them in another build on a board that isn't quite so dampened, but you can see that in addition to that dampening layer there on top of the PCB, we have another layer in between the PCB and the positioning plate. Hopefully you can see that. That is what looks to be a pour-on foam, probably. That sits like right in here, between the plate and the PCB. And then, even further, underneath, there's another layer of dampening foam, as if that weren't enough. And if we turn this way, you can see along the edge are gaskets. This is, in fact, a gasket mount design where those gaskets provide additional sound dampening and softness, additional flex. So there's a lot going on here to ensure that this is a very soft, deep, thawky sounding typing experience, which is really interesting. I'm very keen to try it out. So, that sound signature might not be for everyone. If you want something with more clack, I'm not sure this board's going to get you there. But if you like that thawk, you want something quiet and dampened, I think this thing is going to do the trick. We shall see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 gold screws holding down our positioning plate here. That's it. You can also see we have a south-facing surface-mounted LED for each switch. A couple of indicator lights here. Looks like a battery level indicator and maybe wireless or lock lights, not sure. Around the back we have our wireless modes. So that's 2.4 gigahertz wired or Bluetooth, and our Windows and Mac toggle here. So USB-C port, and we even get a little hidey hole for our 2.4 gigahertz receiver, which is not branded. It's just generic, just color matched generic, but at least it has a home in which to live when it's not in use, so you're less likely to lose it. On the back, very simple situation. We've got our pop-out feet, 1, 2 levels. If you want a more severe typing angle than the default, and it does have an angle by default, you can see here hopefully. It's a bit wedge-shaped. We have this kind of cut out on the side, but it's probably, degrees, maybe 4 degrees. We have our anti-slip rubber feet here, 4 of them, and some very basic information about the keyboard. Just gives the model and some certifications, and that's it. But you can hear when I tap on the back. No hollow space in there. It sounds dense in a good way. In a good way. So, I think this thing's going to sound pretty nice, if rather quiet. So let's move that aside for a moment and take a quick look at the Griffin switches here. So Gamakay, you maybe know them, makers of many keyboards, keycaps, and these days switches as well. The Griffin is part of their new line that includes, they got Pegasus switches, Griffin, and some others named after mythological creatures. This, as you can see based on the force diagram on the back, is a tactile switch. It is not linear, but it does say linear on Banggood, so just be aware. Be aware this is a light linear switch. We actually have a big grid of switch characteristics from this line. So they got Phoenix, Pegasus, and Griffin. And here it does correctly label the Griffin as tactile with a 3.2mm travel distance, which is a bit shorter than your standard switch. 45-gram actuation force, so fairly light, and bottom out force of 65 grams. 60 grams at the tactile event, so never gets too heavy. So there you go. Pretty straightforward, but they honestly do feel pretty nice, at least from the one I pulled out and tried. Let's open them up. Come in this little box. And they're actually presented quite nicely in a little tray. Nothing else to see here, but it does sound kind of nice. But they come presented like so, in a little plastic tray. And you can see the stems are red. Whoops. Oh well. Kind of a fiery red. Let's just put these back. And we'll look at one of them. Just the one. But we get 35 in a box. So for a keyboard like this, 67 keys, you will need two boxes. So the switch itself has this kind of surround, which is usually added for stability. And I don't know what the materials in use here are, but I'm guessing a polycarbonate upper and I don't know, some kind of lower. Something a bit softer. And I don't know the stem material either. It might say on Banggood, although given that they call these linear, I don't know that I would 100% trust the product listing. Doesn't seem to say on the packaging. But what I can tell you is that this thing is smooth. Listen. It is smooth and it is quiet. It is remarkably quiet for a linear switch, almost to the point of being like or for a tactile, I should say, almost like a Cherry MX silent switch, you know? But the bottom out is quite dampened. Listen. And the rebound is also pretty dampened. Very little to hear there. So I think combined with the very dampened board and these very dampened sounding switches with the quiet, smooth action, I think we're going to have a really quiet board, a stealth board. They are 3-pin, as you can see on the bottom there. The upper housing is actually kind of a tinted polycarbonate to match the stem. They have a little lens, which will hopefully allow those RGB LEDs, I should say, to shine through nicely. And no spring ping to speak of. Like overall, really nicely controlled sound and a very pleasing tactile feel. There's not much pre-travel. A tiny bit. There's a tiny bit of pre-travel. A couple millimeters. And then we get the tactile bump. It's very round and pretty light. And that is the Gamakay Griffins. So, like I said, I like the way they sound and feel in hand. I'm going to be really curious to check them out on the board, what they sound like. But I think they'll look really nice anyway. They got a pretty color to them. Speaking of looking really nice, we do have, of course, our keycaps. Our keycaps. So these are naturally the most exciting part aesthetically. And, yeah, this set on Banggood is called Underworld. So, let's pull them out here. So, we get another keycap puller, just in case we didn't already have one. But we do. And, they come in these plastic trays. With the loud elastic bands. And I think these things are regularly about $60. I'm pretty sure right now they're on sale for about $45. Again, at the time of recording. That's kind of loud. Of course, that pricing does change, but it seems like they do go on sale. So these are Diaphragm PBT, which means the legends, the text on them, is essentially fused into the plastic. The dye is fused into the plastic. In fact, I think these are actually what they call 5-sided Diaphragm PBT. And this particular process allows for these nice, bright legends on a dark background. And this is actually a more expensive and more finicky process, although I've been seeing it more and more on more budget, sort of reasonably priced keycaps like these. But I'm happy to report that they are thick, really thick. There's no flex there at all. They feel very robust. The legends look very crisp, very colorful. And we have this variety of them that looks just great. I love the colors. For what it's worth, for those curious, PBT plastic is one of 2 major types of plastic that are used on keycaps. We have PBT, we have ABS. PBT is the more oil resistant of the 2. So they tend not to shine up over time with use. They tend to retain their nice matte look. Okay, I was going to pull this one out, but it's a little tricky and still. Just hold this up so you can see it better. Pretty though. novelties. Yeah, this is gonna look fantastic, you guys. This is a full set. It would cover a full-size keyboard, but of course we have a smaller keyboard here. My one hope, and I'm looking to see. Yeah, it does look like, so if you look here, you'll see that we have smaller left, alt, and control. But the good news is that we do have some coverage for that here with the smaller control and alt and a shortened right shift as well. Did I say left, alt, and control? I meant right. And the shortened right shift is accommodated as well. So this will cover most layouts then. Right from 60% right up through 100%. So this thing is loud. So without further ado, I think it's time for us to jump into this build. So I'm gonna move these out of the way, and we will start popping the switches into the ZUOYA GMK67 there. Okay, so let's get our Griffins here. Let's pop them in. You know, I was going to try out using those little switch pads there, but I really don't think it's going to be necessary. Let's just pop one of these in, see how it feels and sounds. But I would be very surprised if we need any more dampening than what we've got already. So soft. That is extremely soft. Listen. No, I honestly think anything more than that would be mega overkill. So, you know what? I'm going to save those little switch pads for another build. One that's not quite so dampened, stock. And that's something we can look forward to in future. Yeah, this is going to be a very soft talkie board, you guys. Wow, there's a lot of flex here. Watch as I try and press this down into the... In fact, there's so much flex there that I'm struggling to get the switch in. It doesn't want to pop in because, we have a very soft mount here. Watch this. You can see the whole positioning plate flexing. You can hear the foam underneath it compressing. Now that's not necessarily bad. Again, having a flexy typing experience is desirable for many. But it does mean that actually popping these switches in might be slightly challenging. Let's try a slightly different approach. There we go. But yeah, that's a lot of flex. I think it's probably mostly because it's right near the edge and there's a cutout right there. But we'll see. We'll see how the rest of them go in. Yeah, that one also doesn't quite want to go in. So the trick to getting switches in is usually nice even pressure on all four corners of the switch. But this is proving a little challenging. And I did not expect that, I must say. It could also be that these switches are maybe just a little tight in their fitment on this plate, just by virtue of the way they are, their tooling or whatever. Yeah, some of these sockets go in a lot easier. there's another. Doesn't want to quite go in. I'm really interested to hear how this sounds. Okay, so there's a trick. If you kind of use your fingers to pull up on the plate as you push the switch in, that definitely helps a bit. There we go. However, that's a little tricky to do along the top here. But maybe having these switches in position here will add a little bit more rigidity to make this a little more doable. Let's find out. Oh yeah, there we go. That went in quite happily now. So maybe the strategy here is to fill out the inside first and then go and do the edges, because the addition of other switches provides a little bit more structure and rigidity. Also, being a little more aggressive, honestly. Just YOLO it, and it should be fine. Interestingly, there's a couple of little holes on this board where it looks like maybe there could be other screws, but there aren't. Not sure why, but there you go, I guess. Maybe the plate could be used on other boards too. Maybe it's got multiple products that it's used in, and they just opted not to use those screws on this board in order to make sure it is as soft as possible. Look at that flex. Do you guys see that? The whole thing just super flexy. Watch. And of course, this is a choice, right? The manufacturer wanted to make an extremely soft, flexy board. Now, that's not going to be something that everybody enjoys, but it is fairly desirable these days in mechanical keyboards. It's just sort of the fad is these very soft, flexy, thocky sounding boards, and it seems like ZUOYA is really committed to that sound and that feel. Personally, I enjoy both a soft kind of typing feel and a clackier typing feel. There is no right or wrong. It's up to what you like the sound and feel of. Let's pop these in now. Another thing that seems to help is holding the board from behind like this, and then pushing it with both thumbs. That seems to do a really good job. I like to do these build videos every once in a while, because they're fun, and I like the chance to build some unique boards that look and sound interesting, or somehow a little different from what I normally review here, or a little more customized to my aesthetic preferences. There's like a little bit of dust in here, a little piece of something. Not that it matters, but the other reason I like to do these is because I think it shows to you guys, it demonstrates just how easy it is to build your own keyboard. This is extremely straightforward. I think people get intimidated by, all the different options available, and that's fair. There's a lot of different options, and, having the knowledge to pick what you like, process of putting together boards is so easy these days. With these hot swap boards, it's really just plug and play. You know, you just... Okay, I say as I run into, once again, this extremely soft plate and bottom row here, where getting this to actually pop in is a bit of a challenge. Let's try again. Support from the bottom this time. There we go. I did it. Yeah, because of the softness, you just can't be afraid of using a bit of extra force. Be a little bit aggressive. There we go. Last switch. And there it is. There is the completed board. Well, not completed, but completely switch installed board. And I think it looks pretty good. I think those red switches look really styling, don't you? And let's bring in the keycaps. So just like the switches, it is a very simple process. Oops. Aside from the fact that these things are loud AF, but it's a very simple process of matching the right keycap to the right switch. And that is made even simpler by the fact that... Oh, now what is going on here? Huh. Now that is unexpected. Okay, interesting. It was binding for a moment there, because I guess when we had been pushing the switches in, we actually moved the positioning plate a little bit, or this particular switch had moved a little bit, and so the edge of the escape cap was actually rubbing up against the side of the case, but with just a little wiggle, that seems to have solved it. So let's hope that doesn't become a problem again on any of these other switches here. We shall see. This is really dampened, you guys. I think this is going to be extremely quiet switch, or extremely quiet board. I'm not sure what that sound was, but it seems okay now. Hopefully when we plug this thing in, it all works properly. Hopefully the PCB underneath is not suffering as I'm pushing these things into position. Wow. This is going to be extremely dampened. Might actually be the thockiest board I've ever used. Might end up being. Here's our backspace. This will give us a chance to hear those stabilizers in action. Wow. Wow, listen. is so smooth and so quiet. Although there is something. There's a rattle going on. I think that's actually maybe the stabs that don't have a keycap yet. Oh, that's beautiful, guys. All right, let's keep going. I'm getting excited for this. It's probably our loudest keycap yet, which isn't saying much. Sounding and looking bored. That much I can already tell. Sometimes getting the keycaps out of the tray can be a little challenging. Unreal. That is so cool. Absolutely going to be a stealth board. And like pretty reasonably priced considering, you know, this thing's going to look and sound really cool. And, you know, the total cost here, let's say if you get these things on their current sale prices, we're looking at, you know, 60 plus 45 for the keycap, so 105, and then another like $28 or so for the switches, or thereabouts. So like around 130, 135-ish for the whole build, which is, you know, getting into mid-range, but when you consider no one's gonna have anything that looks or sounds quite like this, well, obviously I will if you go and order these exact same things, but most people won't. It's certainly gonna be a lot more interesting and customizable than a pre-built, and you get all the features like the wireless functionality as well. Okay, let's do the fun enter key. And I think if we have another orange accent key, which I think we do, I think I'll put it up here for escape. Not quite as dampened as the backspace, but still pretty good. Still pretty good. No tick to speak of. And I might spend a little bit of time modding these stabilizers afterwards. Oops. Seriously, getting these things out can be a real struggle sometimes. Beautiful. Extremely good. Extremely good. You know, looking at my hairy forearms the whole time. But you'd think by now I would have figured this out. This ain't my first rodeo. Built a few of these on the channel before, I reckon, but you know, it's been a while and sometimes I just forget the lessons learned, I guess, from previous videos. Wow, this really does not want to come out of here. You know what? Let's mix it up. Let's switch it up just for now. And that allows me to use my little switch puller maybe to get these keycaps out of here. Nope, even that doesn't work. They're slippery little devils. There, I got it. Just took some serious effort to do it. Seems like coming in from the side might be the strategy here. I know that the plastic creaking sounds of the tray are not everyone's favorite. I apologize for that, but don't have a lot of other options here. So there's going to be a few more that we can use on this first tray, but in a moment we're going to have to go check out the second tray, because for our nav cluster, our arrow keys and our right shift and our right I guess it'll be like an alt and a function key, probably. All that's going to be on the next tray. Okay, how's the space bar going to sound? Often a tricky one to get right. So, not bad, but there is a tick on this side that's going to require some lube, and I might just do that, the Holy mod. If you're curious what that's about, there's some really good tutorial videos online, but it basically involves putting some, like, a little bit of fabric material, like from a band-aid or whatever, into the little hole on the stabilizer stem, which goes a long way to improving the sound. But not too bad, really. Not too bad. Okay, so let's see what kind of fun stuff we have here. So we're gonna need a function, a 1U wide function, which I think will go right there, and an alt, which will go right there. Oh wait, no, I totally lied. No, these are actually not 1U, they are 1.5 or 1.25, just as they ought to be. I just looked at them and I thought they were 1U size, but no, they're totally standard. So we should actually just be able to make use of these ones from the top tray here. My mistake. My mistake. Yeah, totally. Look at that. Not a problem. However, we definitely will need our short right shift here. Which will be that guy. Nice and easy. We've got our arrow keys over here. In theory, gosh, getting these out is a trick sometimes. Okay. If any of you have tips or tricks there for getting these out, let me know. Maybe that's the strategy. Just kind of push them out. No, it worked once, but never again. There. Tip them up. And then, oh, that came out. Okay, so our trickiest fits here are going to be these 3 keys, because we need to make sure that whatever profile of key we put on there matches the profile of the row that it is in. So that's actually going to limit us somewhat. Now, they are probably, like, there's probably actual, keys that those are default mapped to. Let me just take a look on where'd I put that? Just looking for the manual. Okay, well, I legitimately don't know where I put the manual, but fortunately the back of the keyboard shows the default layout, so it looks like we've got a delete, page up, and page down by default. Now we will have a delete key that will fit this row, but we probably won't have a page up or page down that'll fit that row. So I propose that we just use some of our fun novelty keys over here for all 3 of those keys. I think that would be good. And fortunately, these come in a variety of different profiles. So for delete, how about a skull? That somehow seems appropriate, don't you think? Fun looking cap. So that should work right here. I think that'll be the correct profile. Or actually, is it? No, it's totally not. It's too tall. That's good. That's more of a, that's for the row 5. So let's swap that out for something else. What are we gonna put there? This might be the correct. See, it comes in a handful of different profiles here. I think this will do it. There we go. That's it. That looks properly matched with the rest of its row, profile-wise. And then for the middle row, what looks fun? What looks fun? How about got this like sugar skull dog here? Why not? Is that going to be the right profile? Not quite. It can be actually quite tricky to tell until you get it on there, and then you can kind of look down the row and see if it sticks up a little oddly. So what are we going to need for that? Let's see. We're going to need something pretty low. I think that's going to be too high. It's going to be some of these real short ones. Like maybe this one, possibly. Let's see. Let's see if that'll do the trick. No, still not quite. One of these will certainly do it, but figuring out which one that is basically, these are the same profile. These two here. So we need something that's not that profile. Maybe this skull. Let me see. I'm gonna put them over here and compare. No, I think that is also the same. What's this right here? We got something upside down. Oh, a very tiny 1U shift. That's fair. Okay, well, I feel like we're running out of caps here. Although, actually, you know, I'm looking here. We do have a lot of different page up, page down deletes in some different profiles, some different rows. So, as a matter of fact, we might be able to do what they actually request here, or what they actually indicate it should be. This might be the right one here, page up, and this might be the right page down here. Well, gosh, you guys, look at that. Look at that. A perfect match. But we can still keep our skull here if we want, for funsies. And last but not least, I'm gonna replace our escape with this fun orange skull right here, over here, which is the correct profile, and I think it looks really great. So let's pop these guys back in. Of course, if you want, you can muck around with these novelty caps, find the right rows for the right caps and whatnot. But, and I might do that afterwards. But, in the interest of bringing this video to a close eventually, let's say that is done for now. Look at this board, you guys. Look at this thing. This is so cool. I love this aesthetic. Now, one thing I am noticing, slightly unfortunately, is that the black of the case is a little bit warmer than the black of the keycaps, which is a very cool black verging on a very dark gray. Very dark, cool gray. I don't think it like ruins the setup or anything like that, but it's worth noting if you're going for this precise combination of caps and board, that it's not quite a perfect match. That is the risk you run, you know, when you order this kind of stuff just based off of pictures online. It can be really hard to tell what the true color of stuff is. That said, it's not a bad match, and I don't think it looks bad by any stretch. I think the caps do work really nicely with this rotary encoder in terms of the matching. And yeah, I mean this thing is so sharp. Look at those colors. It's beautiful. All right, friends. I think it's time that we give this thing a sound test, don't you? It deserves it, and I really want to see what it, or hear and feel what it's like to type on. So, without further ado, let's get to the sound test. Okay, so I said we were going to do the sound test, and we are. Don't worry about that. But first of all, I'm going to quickly, just very quickly, show you the lighting setup here, the RGB, because that's, you know, it's tradition. So, it's got 18 different RGB modes. Evidently, you can cycle through them with function and backslash. I'm actually, well, we can go through them really quick, but mostly I just wanted to show you that it's not terribly bright. And that's partially because I don't have shine through keycaps on here. But it just doesn't seem to get all that bright in general. There's no edge lights or anything like that, of course, so it's just the backlight. I will say it's bright enough. Certainly if you did have transparent or shine-through caps, I'm sure it would look fine. But this is the maximum brightness. You can hold down function and press up, and you see the whole board flashes red to show us, hey, that's as far as it goes that way. You can also bring it down in a few steps. You can turn it off if you want, of course. If you're seeing a flicker, by the way, very important for me to point out, that flicker, not visible IRL. It's only visible through the camera, so you don't have to worry about that. The actual color of the LEDs is fine, if not amazing. I would say the red colors really don't shine through very well, or just are not very vivid. So the color, rendering is not the best I've ever seen, but point is, it has RGB. It seems to do it just fine. It's not super bright. It's not the most, vivid or colorful, but it gets the job done. We'll quickly cycle through some of the options here, but it's got the standard complement of, effects that you would expect to see. That's the classic ripple. Might leave it on that for a bit. You can adjust speed with function and left and right square bracket. Let's keep it nice and slow. Keeps it calm. And you can change direction with function left and right. So we now have it going in, and now we have it going. Oh, that changed color. My mistake. So function right actually is cycling through colors here. We're back to the rainbow, but function left changes the direction. There you go. So pretty standard stuff. Nothing too surprising there. I'm happy to report the wireless works great. Both the 2.4 gigahertz and the Bluetooth seem to function just fine. No problems pairing, and it has stayed consistently paired and connected. I have it in the 2.4 gigahertz wireless mode right now. Reception seems to be good. The one thing I will say is that the backlight does turn off after a little while of inactivity, which is, desirable for preserving the battery life, really. So it's a pretty straightforward little product in that way, and it operates as you would expect. There's more that I could talk about. There is, of course, a secondary function layer. Function, page up and page down, gives you home and end and all that kind of stuff. There is software as well, which I've actually not checked out yet, but this is a build video rather than a formal review, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time dwelling on these things. I think what I really would like to get to, and what I think you would probably like to get to as well, is the sound test. And I can tell you, from having used this a bit, this is a really cool keyboard. It's neat, because it is perhaps the quietest keyboard I have ever built or ever used. Certainly the quietest mechanical keyboard I've ever used. So, with that said, let's get on with the sound test. this keyboard sounds so cool. Like I said, I've never used a mech that is so quiet. This thing is full stealth. You could honestly use this next to a sleeping person and they probably would not be disturbed by it. It would be great in an office setting if you have coworkers that are sensitive to keyboard sounds or whatever, but you still want a custom mech on your desk. And I think this really comes from a combination of the kit, the ZUOYA GMK67, which is really, really dampened and has an extremely flexy plate and gasket mount, combined with these Gamakay Griffin switches, which it turns out are also kind of dampened and very, very quiet unless you're really mashing down on them, but you absolutely don't have to use them effectively and get the most out of them. So that particular combination just seems to really, really work in terms of a very soft, cushioned, flexy typing experience. Now, this sound and feel is not going to be for everyone. Some people want a lot more clack, or a lot more click, or even more thok, in their sound signature and typing feel. This board, I could imagine some people thinking it feels too mushy, because it does have a bit of that feel of like almost, dare I say it, a membrane rubber dome switch or a top ray type switch. It has a bit of that pop to it because it is very soft, but it is also tactile, right? So, but personally, I find it to be a very novel feeling and sound compared to all the boards that I've used recently, and for that reason I think it's really fun. And for some people that's going to be a super desirable sound and feel. It has a pleasing amount of I hesitate to say thok, but there is a bassy underpinning to it, especially if you go really hard on the keys. But it's not marbly. It's more a little bit, yeah, it's hard to really characterize, but it's pleasing, I think, but maybe not what everyone's looking for. The keycaps, of course, for their part, with the PBT and the light texturing, they confer their own aspect to the sound signature. A lot of the actual sound that you hear from the recording of this is just from my fingers on the surface of the keycaps, rather than anything in the switch or the board itself. And again, if you wanted to change that or mitigate that aspect of the sound, you could put something else on here, like some double shot ABS caps, with a more glossy finish maybe. I think some MT3 caps would really, really make this thing like thok and quiet. And I might try that out, actually. I think that could be pretty fun. But for their part, the keycaps look fantastic. I'm actually really impressed with this set. In fact, I'm pretty impressed with everything in here. And again, this is not a formal review. This is simply, my quick impressions from having built this thing and used it a bit. And I'm not going into any extensive detail, but I like all of the individual components, and I think they've come together here into something fairly unique. And I honestly think that they're all quite reasonably priced as well, especially if you can get them on sale. And it seems like Banggood often has them on sale for anywhere between sort of 10 and 20% off at the time of recording. Oh, there goes the lights. I told you they go off after a little while. At the time of recording, all of these are on sale on Banggood. You can find those links down below, wherever below is for you. I don't know, somewhere down there. At the top of the video description, those are my affiliate links. If you use them, you will be supporting this channel and the content I make, which I appreciate very much. I will also see if maybe I can get some coupon codes and share them for you guys down there as well. I don't know if they will stack with the discounts. Probably not, but anyway, there might advantage of in the event that the sales on Banggood have ended. So be sure to take a look and check that out. Overall, lovely little build, really fun, fairly cost effective, a great foundation also for experimentation. Like if you just want a solid 65% kit that's kind of got everything that you might want, as long as you don't mind a very soft, flexy typing sound and feel, then this ZUOYA kit, the GMK67 here, is absolutely a winner. And these switches and keycaps are a lot of fun too. So, a big shout out to Banggood.com for sending over these parts and sponsoring this video. I appreciate their support, and I appreciate all of you for watching. I hope you found this informative. I hope you found it interesting, and above all, I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you back here next time. Farewell for now, my friends. Okay, I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking, hey Nick, you just ended the video. What are you doing back here? Why is this still going? Well, my friends, it's because that was Video Nick. This is End of Video Nick, and End of Video Nick has a very special task, which you might have guessed based on the special thanks that you see in front of you. Yes, End of Video Nick is here to thank our channel supporters, our patrons, and our YouTube members that kindly contribute and support what I do here on this YouTube channel. These patrons and YouTube members also get the benefit of some very fun perks, including their names here on the special thanks page and early access to each of my weekend videos, in addition to even more exciting things at higher tiers. If you, dear viewer or listener, are interested in checking out those perks, maybe signing up yourself and helping support what I do here, please consider taking a look at the links down below at the top of the video description. I'm sure you will find a tier there that is right for you. There is one tier in particular, the Fusro Da tier, very fearsome sounding, where they get their names read in every single one of my videos. A very special spoken shout out. And you are about to hear those names of those kind supporters right now. Starting with Ragnarsson, James C, K, Time, Angel Garcia, Rango Steele, Drummer Brit, and Jake Luffney. What a fantastic group of people. Their support is immense. I appreciate it deeply, and everything they contribute to this channel and community. The same goes really for everybody here on this page and for you as well, dear viewer or listener. Once again, if you are interested in joining these fine folks, getting your name immortalized here in my videos, please take a look at the links down below to my Patreon and my YouTube memberships. Thank you once again to all our channel supporters.